About 6,000 acres. I started this is my 12th year of farming here. I just started renting land and it's kind of growing. Some of my biggest challenges would be moisture, marketing, and I'd say equipment and people. The opportunities that I've seen is there's room for growth. There's never not a learning curve. And it's just a good way to challenge yourself. Yeah, I think so. I think with technology changing and everything happening, they're going to be able to grow the industry. Yeah, yeah. The legacy I want to leave is a farm to my children. If they want to do it, they have the option to be able to do it. Well, I think the soil health is the legacy to leave, because without soil health, you won't have a viable business. Well, to me, the soil health, especially the last 8 years, I've really started focusing on more of my soil health, because once I started, I noticed that my soil started producing its own nutrients, and my bills kept dropping and dropping. And doing this the way that I got started, everything's rented. I had to buy all equipment from scratch, so my margin was very low. So if I can start to lower my input costs, then you can run a business. Soil sampling, pretty much that's constant soil sampling. Whenever I try something different, I sample before and after and see if there is any bit of change in it. Mostly once a year, but a lot of the times, like if I'm working on a particular quarter that's having issues, I could sample it up to 6 times a year. The biggest thing for me I found is alkali. There's a lot of it around here, and I realized once you can balance the pH, that you can actually get a crop to germinate down there. And I had one quarter that was particular. There was about 40 acres that just grew foxtail and thistle, and it took me about 4 years, but now I've completely seed that every year. The biggest thing was trying to not disturb it as much, but from what I'm kind of finding now, you actually almost need to disturb it a little bit every once in a while. And so I've been doing that, really focusing on just other nutrients other than your NPKs. Well, I think, you look back to where everyone worked the land and it blew and it's sandy, and then you got continual cropping, and that's helped. And now you're starting to see all these other soil health tactics going into it. So I feel like everyone's starting to adapt to it, and they're starting to see that it is more important than anything. I did a lot of testing this winter with Black Earth, and in my test plots, the biggest thing I noticed with the AG4 product was the germination and the moisture it held. I actually met Caitlin in the farm show in Lethbridge, and we were discussing the product, and it was kind of what I've been looking for. Just the AG4, and then the granular, and then the liquid. It's convenient with their granular product. You just apply it in seed row with your seeder. And then the liquid, I just mixed it in with my herbicide application and had 0 issues with that. It sprayed really nice. And this is probably the first time I've ever seen such a huge result that quick from doing a foliar product. Well, mainly it comes out of Alberta, and to me that means a lot. You're supporting the province, and the quality of it was very good. So, like I said, this winter with my test plots, I did 3 different plots, one with 0 product, one with 40 pounds, and one with 80. And it was so apparent the moisture retention that it had. The 40 pounds was soft, but it was wet, but the 80 pounds was almost muddy. I watered them all 3 the same, but that 80 pound and 40 pound by far held more moisture. You visually could just see the dirt. It never dried out. All the soil was the same when I started, but within about 4 weeks, you could tell the composition of the soil completely changed. And even now, 6 months later, that same test plot, I put carrots in it, but didn't put anything in. And the 40 and the 80 pound had way better germination, and even to this day, the moisture there that it holds is superior to the no product. So I didn't know a lot about it. I was more looking at carbon, and then learned more about the humic side of it and realized how important it is. I've always read articles on it, but to now actually start playing around with it and to see that big of a result the first year, because like all this stuff is really hard. You do it, and if you don't apply it properly, or if the conditions aren't right, it's hard to see a change. And this was just so apparent so fast, it was hard to not want to do more with it. But it really surprised. It was fun. It was kind of neat to see something work really well. Yeah, so the Alpha Plus I was really concerned about because it seemed very concentrated, and I've had issues in the past with mixing. But when I mixed it with my Liberty for my canola and had zero issues. It actually almost seemed to have a better spray pattern, and the Liberty this year seemed to have better result on kochia for me. Any kochia that I sprayed with it, it completely just wiped it out. The shade of green of the canola within 24 hours after spraying, it was a very kind of a high stress point. The heat was coming, and it was kind of getting dry. And as soon as I sprayed it, it went dark green and just took off. And one of the hardest things around this area for me with canola is that when it gets hot and dry, the plant doesn't, like the normal growing cycle of a plant is germination, grow, and die. But around here, it germinates, it grows, and then goes stagnant. It doesn't die. So harvest time is really hard. And this is the first year in many years I've noticed that it actually grew, matured, and died. And a lot of my fields I don't even have to desiccate now. I did a little bit on some durum, and by far the field that I did the durum on is probably one of the best looking durum crops I've ever had. And the barley did great. Like I said, the bushel weight was up. It averaged 90 bushel an acre, and around here I don't think you can ask for any more. The size of the heads to me are very large. The seeds are nice and big. The root system, I still can't get over how far down the roots went. I did everything the same, except I added black earth to it.